What's up, y'all? LTJ Reeves is here. This is Throwing Light, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. And this is episode 101. Now, I want to say every episode number now, so we'll know where we're at until we get to that next 100, right? I got my first interview coming into this new era with Daddy Gil, pup handler, Texas Pup Handler 2024. I'm set.
Hi.
I was set forward. I've got him here tonight. I'm excited. He was a wonderful competitor and the Mister in the Texas Leather contest that we had here in Austin during Austin Peak Weekend. I'm excited because I'm glad we're doing this interview before I go to Texas. So I mean, before we go to Dallas, because now we'll be acquainted. You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to chat. I hate like meeting people first and then I get to know them. You know what I'm saying? Like I love getting to know people and then meeting them. But there's a lot of people like, especially like going to IML, all these people, they're reaching out, wanting to do this, and it's like, I look forward to getting to know people. So this is a great way to do that. Well, Daddy Gil, yeah, we're going into the Mr. Dallas Eagle competition. We're here in Texas. Daddy Gil's in Houston. I am in Austin, Texas. I have a good question for you later in this interview, but why don't you go ahead and tell everybody how you got involved in the leather community?
Sure. First of all, thank you for asking me to participate in this. I'm very excited to see what you've done thus far with the show. So awesome. I'm very excited. So how did I come to how my leather journey kind of started was it was some time ago. So it was back in like 2003, I would say. So I was freshly new to Houston, had just moved here right after college, and didn't know anybody, didn't know what the community was like. So I stumbled upon the ripcord at the ripe old age of 22. And, it was interesting because I didn't know anybody at the time. I had just moved here and I came across a couple of guys that were all dressed in leather. Started hanging out with them. Turns out they were the misfits. And, my leather journey kind of started with hanging out with them, hanging out at the ripcord, and slowly progressed to me starting my own kind of um, leather journey and making friends in the community, hanging out with a bunch of different groups in the community, kind of progressing from there to where I am today, which is, currently I'm the president of the Texas Leather Society. I'm Texas Handler 2025. I'm one of the guardians of the Leather Boys of Houston. So I'm kind of excited that my journey has been slow. Um, and it's always been behind the scenes. So this is probably the first time I've ever been in a role that is kind of public facing. I've been doing charity work. The first philanthropic event I did was back in, I think it was 2014 or 2015 with the Bayou City Pups. We actually threw what was back then the largest fundraiser that the Ripcord had at their bar at the time. So it's been a slow but very eventful and rewarding experience for sure.
You have such a glow. You have like a really nice face. Do you know that?
Thank you.
Very, very smooth and shiny and pretty. Look at that. All right.
It's all the lighting and air.
You have a lot of lighting going on, man. I'm out here in the universe. There's not much lighting
Hey,
out.
that works. Hey, you're
So
right
you're the
now. This is your
president of the Texas
universe.
Leather Society. Who was the previous president?
James Martinez was,
So
yes.
now you're the president.
Correct. James stepped down, I want to say it was like maybe 2 months ago.
Is he the founder?
He was one of the original founders, correct.
So like, is he completely gone or?
Well, kind of. He sits in an advisory role, but he doesn't have any voting capacity or anything. No.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the Texas Leather Society.
Okay, go for it. What do you want to
So
know?
I was involved in the earlier stages. So I'm interested and very excited to hear what it's like under your leadership.
Sure. So, the Texas Leather Society for me and the vision that I have for it and what I plan to do with it moving forward is kind of making it a hub for all the organizations in Texas. So, one thing that we really kind of are proud of is the fact that we uplift and kind of put a spotlight on every group and every event that happens in Texas. Whereas, oftentimes some of the groups will just highlight their events and the things that they're doing. The one thing about us is that because we are statewide and we have membership and board members from all over the state of Texas, that we are fortunate enough where we can reach several different portions of the population. And so we really are big in making sure that we're uplifting everybody as opposed to just uplifting ourselves.
Mhm. And so, you operate as kind of a family, a social,
Correct. We are definitely think of ourselves as a family for sure.
so
We're kind of unique in the fact that we consider ourselves a leather group because we are all leather affiliated. Um, but we are spread throughout the state of Texas. So we have board members and then we have advisors and we have ambassadors that come from every city, San Antonio, Dallas, RGV area, Galveston, Houston, Austin. We kind of
are
hit all the areas.
are all gingers welcome?
Um, are all gingers welcome? Absolutely.
Because there's a lot. There's more than two. I mean, we have to talk realistically for people that are watching the show. We don't say that stupid stuff binary. What the fuck is that? That's not real.
No, we accept everybody.
Oh, fantastic.
We have open arms.
That's great. And you just know with this climate, it's just super sensitive right now. I know that visibility is important to everybody right now and that. And I know, going through the contest circuit, we do emphasize and put a lot of weight on that, and I'm
Mhm.
hoping that we can take that like I say, the policing of contests. If we could police our own community at large, then we could really do the call in, call out type of thing, and try to get it organized. But we are a microcosm, but we are so concentrated in activism, kink, leather, all of that. It's you're getting a lot in. I honestly, it wasn't until I got involved in the leather community that I started having much more trans interaction I've ever had in my entire life. And it just it's what it is. It's been nice just to think of it as a part of my day to day, like knowing people that go through that experience.
Absolutely. Especially, in general, but especially right now with what we're dealing with politically, it's extremely important that we as a community stick together and, instead of all of the infighting that we have seen in the past, it's important that we kind of move past all that and really help and support each other because we're going to need each other for the next couple of years. And if we don't show the world that we're united, then that will be our own worst mistake.
I agree with you 100%. And we need to be unified. Someone sent me a message just talking and chatting, and we're talking about, he's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in Austin. He's like, oh, Austin's a blue city in Texas. And I was like, no, I think it's purple. To be honest with you, when I'm in Houston, there are just aspects of it that feel very blue to me. Even though I know there's oil money and all these things, but they're like, things have changed in Austin. Tesla's here, a lot of the political leaders are here. Wealth is here. It's not the same climate. And then we are not as like Austin is weird. Let me just put it like that. We don't really connect here that easily. Definitely outside of the leather community, but in the leather community, we do feel close. We do feel knit. But it's really hard to, and something I been doing that. I'm starting back called the leather weather bar crawls for visibility. And the thing is that I feel much more comfortable walking around as a Leatherman in Houston sometimes than I do in Austin.
Oh, okay.
I do. I,
That's
I don't know if anyone feels that way, but like Houston is the fourth largest city in the country. It has if I'm correct, the largest population per capita for gay people or something like that. Like, I don't know.
well, yeah, we're a big city in general.
So there is more to be offered in Houston than there is in Austin, in my opinion.
It's
Still,
funny you say
there's
that
still
because
gonna
I've
be
actually I've heard the opposite. I've heard people say that Austin is where you want to be if you're a gay person in the state. So I guess it just depends on what you consider your home to be.
Right, right. I don't know. I feel like when people say that, it's from like a superficial level, like they're saying like, "Oh, the guys are great looking there," or that. I don't ever hear anything about character though. But like, that's kind of what I'm saying here. Cool. Okay, so you got Texas Pup Handler. This has been my third Austin Key weekend. And let me see here. So you are the first male or male identified person that I've known to be the have the title
In a
uh,
while,
in a
correct.
while. Like since I've known, I believe I've been in three. So there were two previous, trans women, and then a woman who won, and now we have a man here. Um,
So just for clarification, the title is Texas Handler. So it's not just pups,
I
it
forgot.
encompasses
Sorry, and there's the
pup,
pet title too
yes,
now. Yes.
pups, pets, critters, absolutely.
I was thinking prior to this last year that was getting confused with just pups only. Okay, so Texas Handler, and so okay, so why? What's your philosophy? What's your mentorship like?
My philosophy in the title itself.
And in your approaches to your
Sure.
aspect, your philosophy of how you live and carry yourself.
So I'm a big believer in intersectionality. I think that's one of our the biggest things that we tend to forget in the leather kink community. I think we get pigeonholed oftentimes where people will say you're a leatherman and that's all you can be, or you're a pup and that's all you could be, or you're a boy and that's all you can be. But I think we are a combination of multiple things at any given period of time. We this is a journey. This is a journey for all of us. And so our journey does not stop at a certain point. I think we fluctuate and can have the ability to fluctuate, just like the two previous handlers before me. What would predominantly have been a male identifying role has proven to not be a male identifying role. You can be a trans woman in leather and be a handler. You can be a cis woman in the kink space and be a handler. You can be a pup and you can be a leatherman. Our current Mr. IML is a boot black. So, we can fluctuate between our different aspects of who we are, and it's perfectly acceptable. And I think that's one of the things that comes with my way of thinking, which is more new guard versus old guard. I think the old guard is kind of set in the you can only be one thing and that's the thing you are. But I thoroughly believe that we can fluctuate from day to day. One day I may feel like I'm a handler, the next day I may be a leatherman. And for me, my journey started as a man of leather, as a Latino man of leather. And I don't necessarily feel like now that I'm a handler that aspect of who I am is gone or erased. It's just an aspect of who I am at the moment.
Yeah. So, in terms of handling, being a handler, like what does that mean to you?
Sure. So to me means a couple of different things. It is more of a characteristic or a trait. As a handler, you are almost like a big brother, like a mentor, a guide for the pup and critter community. You're there when they need support. You're there to help guide them. And support can come in different ways. It can come in someone's journey and what that means for them. You can support them in those ways and helping them come into terms with what their persona is. It can be at a bar and somebody, is unfortunately it happens, but someone's playing with their pup tail, and you don't just randomly walk up to a pup and start playing with their tail if you don't know them or have permission. It's being there and helping them and, making sure that the people around them are looking out for them. So it's more of it's not a sexual dynamic, although it can be for some people. I think it's more of a almost like a guardian. So you have to have that caring, nurturing mentality to be a handler. You have to be willing to meet them where they are, as well as being able to help push them at times, because sometimes that's what they're looking for. They're still finding themselves, when they're first in the community, and you may need to poke them a little bit to have them kind of come to their full identity, and that comes in various forms.
So like I don't want to get either one of us in trouble, so I'm gonna be very careful how I say this. But so mentorship. I am okay, so let me put it like this. I am growing up in the new guard world. That's what I know. So I'm gonna move forward with that. And then I believe in non-sexual mentorship. So this is me. This is where I'm at. I don't care. I'm not saying anyone can't be that. I know that for me having a sexual dynamic within handling or anything like that, not a lot of us really have that emotional maturity of boundaries and separation and things like that. And that's not something that I've learned. But people can compartmentalize a lot of their relationships and their mentorships and things like that, and I don't see myself as I guess I could be a mentor. I don't
You
know.
know, my personal philosophy is everybody has the ability to be a mentor, because mentorship looks completely different for you as the mentor because of the person you're mentoring. So every person you are mentoring will want something different from you as a mentor. So, you know, what you may bring to the table may be something different than what I bring to the table. So if I'm mentoring somebody, they're coming to me because they are interested in what I have to offer them.
Is there anyone that did you start? Did you start out with a mentor? Is there anybody that you reach out to for mentoring?
Oh, geez.
Did you come to it on your own?
For mentoring or for becoming a handler?
Get in a position to mentor people and be a handler.
You know, I never purposefully sought out somebody to mentor. It was somebody reached out to me and said, I really like what you stand for. I see what you do in the community. I would like for you to mentor me as I kind of find myself and in my pup persona. And it was actually a friend of mine from college that now lives in Florida, and he was still exploring his identity, and saw how comfortable I was and how I was around other pups in the community, and he actually was like, I would like for you to help me find myself, and that's kind of how it happened.
But has anyone ever mentored you?
I think I've had a ton of different mentors, through my days.
I mean, give me a number.
Oh, Jesus, I'm 46. I've probably had over 20 mentors in my days,
Not to name one.
both professionally and personally, because the theory is you should always have more than one mentor. So I've had leather mentors, I've had handler mentors. One of my biggest mentors in terms of becoming a handler would actually be my predecessor, Mama Dawn. She's actually the one that really showed me that I had the qualities of being a handler, which I didn't even know I had. She's just one day we were just talking about it, and she's like, you know what? You're a handler. You don't know it, but you are. And that was very significant to me because it's very true. I think oftentimes people see the things in us that we don't see in ourselves. And she saw that, and she brought out my handler side more. I would say she brought it out, but she nurtured it because I already had it in me. She was just the one that said, you have it. You let me help you develop that.
So yeah, I love Mama Donna to death. We literally were on the phone together on Saturday talking about some things. Like if you mess with like if I that is somebody I don't ever want to see upset. So if you fuck with Mama Dawn and I found out about it, I am so confrontational. So I just want everybody to know that do not fuck with Mama Dawn to anyone. Don't say stuff about her that's not true either. All right. Okay.
Absolutely not.
So because that's one of the most amazing humans on this earth, and we're gonna make sure that we take care of her and uplift her, and she maintains the wonderful, great reputation that she has. All right,
Absolutely.
so
I love her. I talk with her daily.
so Okay, so what did you think when you were getting ready to run for this title? What was the vision that you had, in terms of what was like? Because I didn't get to see your interview, and the type of questions they asked and stuff like that. But what really was your vision for yourself?
Uh, I guess my vision was just honestly, I kept trying to talk myself out of it several times, including during the actual competition itself, just because I'm not used to being, like I said earlier, I'm not used to being in the forefront of things. I'm usually very comfortable being in the background. So the one thing I did want to show was my authentic self. So I didn't want to come in with any pre-developed answers or anything that was canned. I felt like I would have done great at, being my authentic self versus trying to be somebody who I thought they were looking for.
That's
So I
all.
didn't I didn't really have any like um ideas of what I wanted to present. I just wanted to make sure that I presented myself, my authentic self.
And
Clearly it worked.
well, of course. I mean, and you seem to be authentic. Like you're one of the best actors I've ever met. If you're being fake, so
I'm a horrible actor.
we can give you an Academy Award if you want, because I'm not convinced. So here we are in Texas. Okay, Gil, we're in Texas. This is where me and you are
Yeah,
working together. Okay, we are in a difficult place. We're
absolutely.
like, whatever the orange motherfucker says, this state, the leader here wants to double down on whatever that motherfucker says. So
Hmm.
we're in that position. I have no problem calling him. Well, let me stop. I was going to refer to him as a name I probably should not say, but let's just say that the leader here and the legislators, they are running for the opportunity to dismantle everything here as they can. And they're definitely after trans people, as we know, and all that.
Hmm.
We are here in this conservative, big red, like with these blue bubbles in it. The minute we drive out of our city, we're in Redland. We're seeing all of this. I don't think a lot of other of our leather family across the nation understand as much of what it's like to live in Texas, except for people that live in Texas. And we are very brave here in just doing this and being visible because think about the things you can do here in Texas. Like let's get into this. So though I hate having a conversation, but we had to talk about having self-defense classes. The Eagles want to do that. In terms of being in the state and trying to help shape it, can you kind of explain to our audience just what it's like to be a leather person in a conservative state, the biggest, the second biggest conservative state, the
Yeah.
loudest one, trying to move forward with these philosophies in the state when we've got so much working against us. How do we stay unified? How do we continue mentorship? How do we just keep building a strong community right now?
It's like I mentioned earlier, the easiest way I think that would work for us in moving forward past all of this craziness that we're going through, both currently with Donald Trump and the administration, as well as, just our governor, is staying united. We need to stop the bullshit of trying to pull each other down and talk negatively about each other and start rumors about each other because that's what they want. When we're divided, that's when they win. And so we have to do whatever we can to make sure that we're sticking together as a strong community. We're advocating for each other. There's no reason why we can't have a unified front because if you separate all the different cities, that's fine. But when you combine all the cities together and the communities, we are strong. We are a powerful and large community, larger than probably any other state in the country. And so we have to stick together and we have to advocate for each other, not against someone else because I need to advocate for myself. We need to stand united during these very difficult times.
Do you think that we have a good network here in terms of how we've got the Facebook groups, all that type of thing? Do you think as a state, are we Are we ready to work together? Are we ready to do this work?
I think we are ready. I still think we have some work to do, and I think that's kind of one of the things that the Texas Leather Society is working towards is with the uplifting of every group is we're showing that we can work together as one unified larger community, and we are stronger as a larger community than we are with our own individual little cities or our own individual groups. One city could have three or four different leather groups for men, but they may not necessarily really hang out with each other or communicate with each other. And so, why not come together as a larger group for the entire state? When we show up, we just saw the other day, when we had all those No King protests, when we show up, and we need to show up in numbers, and we need to stand united and together.
I agree with you. And the thing that I really try to also remind people, and it pops up every episode, that this is a time in history where we have to reinvent the wheel. And I know
Yep.
we hear that all like don't we, but I'm saying like when there's no communication connection happening politically whatsoever. There's no one, they're not communicating. Everyone is doing this. So that's not going to work.
Right.
And we are showing up politically and we continue to do that. I believe, there are some things that we need to do in silence. And I think some of our bigger moves, I think we need to hold close to us and not reveal. What those moves are, that's what I'm hoping doing these conversations and getting ideas and people to think. How do we survive? How do we protect ourselves? What? One of us could get fucking scooped up by ice. What are we going to do? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
What?
there's a reason I travel with my passport now.
Well, yeah, but these assholes, dude, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? They're assholes.
Yeah.
They'll
You
do
know,
it anyway.
the biggest thing is really what we need to do is we need to look out for whoever is, I guess, what I would consider the biggest target at the moment, and helping whoever that target is, helping them first because they're the most vulnerable at this time. So while we can uplift and support leather men in general in the state, they're not the biggest target of the administration at the moment. It's our trans community. And so right now, our trans community needs us more than we need ourselves. And so we should be sticking by them and helping them, get past this time because they've always shown up for us. History shows us that our trans community is what helped the gay movement move forward. And so right now they need us, and right now is our opportunity to show them that we're as invested in their future as they were in ours back in the day.
I don't know why. I don't think that's a good question to ask. I'm gonna jump over. Well, I want it. Where? Okay. I let me. Where do you feel like we need to have trans people in our community? And I'm not saying. I'm just saying front, center, back. Like where? Because let me bring this up to you. When I was doing activism 10 years ago in the state of Louisiana and becoming the first proud president in Lafayette, Louisiana, when I met with the Baton Rouge Gay Political Coalition that I had to meet at the time because I was doing state work, they asked us in front of even our trans people, they asked in front of everybody, they said that trans people were going to have to take a step back in order for us to progress. And I just don't, it never sent right for me. So you know what I did? I made or with the help of the city, the first 3-day gay music festival, okay, in history. And I gave trans people free admission. I was just like, what can I do to offset that, to make them feel special, or to not make them feel like they need to be in the back of the pack? And, I feel like either side by side or they should be in front of us. Like, and how can we say uplifts, name a couple of things right now that people can do to uplift trans people if from their homes.
Well, I mean, I think it starts, and well, first of all, yes, I agree. We should be side by side with them because when you put somebody in the forefront, they become a bigger target. But when
Right.
you stand side by side with them, you have a little bit more of a support system there. But it can be as easy as, grassroots stuff, making phone calls, calling your local politicians, writing emails, putting out, you know, posts on Facebook, social media, whatever it may be. Everything is going to help. There's no one thing that I think is more valuable than the other. But I definitely think we live in a digital world. So digitally, we need to help them and uplift them in that space. But we also have to make sure we show up for them at, when they need us to testify in Congress, or when they need us at a rally, or when they need us at a fundraiser. We need to show them that we support them and that we will stand there with them.
Right. Well, we've got about three things left for you to do in this show. Okay. We're going to start with the first one. So, sometimes, well, back to this question for interviews like this. I ask a question at the end of the show normally. And this question is, what aspect of our community do you feel we're not shedding light on or enough light on?
For me, it's going to be intersectionality. And that's one of my biggest platforms. I definitely stand strong on the intersectionality. We definitely need to uplift that and put a light on it, because we're all on a different spectrum of who we are and what our journey is. And so we should make sure that we are um, acknowledging that.
Um, well, Daddy Gil, I've enjoyed having you on the show. You have such a spirit, like I can feel you, and it's so gentle.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can feel your spirit, the way you talk, your soul. I like it a lot. It feels very, very nurturing, I would say, maybe.
Well, that's what makes a good handler. And also
I'm,
having
I'm
amazing pups in your life, and critters and pets absolutely, adds to that.
well, I'm excited to not only see what you do for the rest of your time here, but to work with you. So
Absolutely.
we're getting
I,
there. All
I,
right, Daddy Gil, I am so glad I got to this interview. I'm glad we got the chat. Like, it was a little icebreaker for us. I'll be riding in kind of late to the party, but I'll be there. So that's competition. I judged last year, so I'm just hoping that everybody has a good time. I'm gonna be cutting up. I don't have to judge or be formal. I'm gonna
I'm
be
just there to enjoy the night.
in as little clothing as I possibly can be for a moment. Drink in my hand.
Well, thank you for having me. I really
This
enjoyed
is a
it.
family reunion that's about to happen this weekend.
Oh,
I'm
I
so
know. I
excited.
did. I've been
So
in the group chats. There's quite a bit of.
it's excitement. I was it was just like there's no way I cannot go. So all right, Daddy Gil, you get to do this great new thing I've been doing this year is I'll let my guests close the show. Now, some people actually like research before they come on the show for this part. I don't know if you know what the part is, but this is what happened. I'm going to count to three. And when I count to three, you're going to say, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. You don't have to do the hand movements, but that's just me, if you want to do that. You ready?
Got it.
One, two, three.
If you're not throwing light, you ain't acting right.
That's fine. There we go. Thank you so much for doing this show. I look forward to talking to you more. And I've got some great ideas I can't wait to talk to you about.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me, and I'll see
Thank you
you
to
in
everybody that was
a couple
in here.
days.
Nice little crew. I hope to see some of y'all there. I see Dustin's in there. Dustin, you going to Dallas Eagle? Maybe he walked away. Anyways, okay. All right. Well, that ends the show, and I'll see you later. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
1 second.